Well, hello there. It's July the 7th. I appreciate it's been about a month since I last did an update. There's no real excuse for that or explanation. I've just been not particularly inclined to add any updates. Sometimes it takes me like that. I have, however, I have been modelling. I just haven't felt particularly inclined to do any videos. You can see it's probably been a while since I did an update by the facial hair, which I've decided to grow out for a while. But anyway, where are we since the last time? So the last time I spoke to you, I was building the Zvezda T90. That has since been, as you can see, I've finished that. So we'll have a look over here on the other camera. Okay, so yeah, probably within a week or so of the last video I actually completed this, so it's been completed for a couple of weeks now. Really quite happy with the way the models come out in the end. You can see I've added things like the fuel tanks on the rear, slightly different colour for one of them, just to ring the changes. All airbrushed with Tamiya paints, with the exception of the base green, which was actually Valero's Forbio Russian green, which I've added a lot of yellow and white to lighten up. I think the colour is actually far too dark from the pot, so that was lightened up a great deal. The yellow, I've gone for one of the darker Russian yellow schemes, so I've used Tamiya's XF159, I believe, Desert Yellow, and just some tyre black for the black areas. Various sorted oils and enamels for washes and stuff, weathering, and then some pigment work to finish the model off. So overall, for my third model since I returned to armour modelling, I'm pretty happy with the way it's come out. It's obviously given me a few pointers, you know, in the way that you constantly learn with these things. I've learnt a few things for my next subject. So yeah, there's the Zvezda T90 finished. I'll put there's a few pictures up on my Facebook page, which is Drew's modelling page, if you want to go and have a look. So there's a few pictures up there for people to look at, and then it's on to the next armour subject. So the next armour subject is going to be the Trumpeter 2S3 Akutsia self-propelled artillery piece, which, as you can see, I've made a good start on this. All the lower hull and running gear is together. I've started assembling the tracks, which are actually, I have to say, very enjoyable to do. They clip together and give this beautiful, you know, completely natural track sag, so they will obviously go around the running gear and stuff at some point when I've worked out exactly how long they need to be. And so yeah, very happy. He says snapping it into 3 parts immediately, but it's not a huge issue. They will snap they will come apart quite easily, but the thing is, they go together quite easily as well. So it's really no big deal. I'll show you how I've been doing it. Is literally pinning the preceding track down with a pair of tweezers, and working the next one in. So as I said, pin it down with the tweezers. And work the next one in, and that's then back together. So put that to one side, again over here. But yeah, so that's the next project that's on go in terms of armour. So I've got a few more days of detailing that, and then I can think about starting to paint it. Been looking around for colour schemes. I wanted to do something to perhaps ring the changes a little bit with it, and I found a few pictures of camouflaged 2S3s where the normal sand or tan colour has been replaced with sort of a light grey, pale blue sort of colour. I don't know the reasons for that, but I'm looking around at photographs. I found hard-edged and soft-edged camouflages. So that's what I'm aiming for with this one. It's going to be sort of Russian green, black, and that sort of light blue grey colour camouflage. So we'll be sorting out some colour mixes for that in due course, and I'm going to do a soft-edged airbrush camouflage. I just like to airbrush, so I've looked at some of the hard-edged ones and I've decided to go with a soft-edged one. Although that is, you know, that's pretty much subject to change as and when, you know, as and when the mood sort of strikes me. So one thing I want to show is how, hopefully you can see on the underside here, all the running gear I've worked sort of various pigments in. European earth and Russian earth have been worked in varying amounts with pigment fixers to give it a dirty sort of muddy appearance on the underside of the sponsons and alongside the running gear up there. So yeah, that's ongoing. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have something there to show you more substantial. And for whatever reason, I got back. I decided I wanted to do a few aircraft again. So one of the ones that I've done over the last 4 weeks has been a Hasegawa 72nd scale Eurofighter Typhoon. So again over here, just showing you the model. Very nice model overall. Very nice model. Any issues with it? Some of the detail on the spine and other areas is a little bit soft because of the way it's been pulled out of the mould. I was really quite surprised when I got to doing the canopy that although it's beautifully clear, they haven't actually provided you any means, any mechanism for doing the canopy open. So at some point I'm going to have to sort of make my own canopy opening mechanism for that, because I want to show it with the canopy open. The ejector seat's a little bit hit and miss as well. It's not a very good ejector seat. I've gone with it at the moment, but strangely enough, looking around, I can't find any easily available replacement Mark 16 ejector seat. So I've had to use a kit one for now. But overall, the kit goes together absolutely beautifully. There's a massive amount of stores with it, which is very, very unlike Hasegawa these days. But the stores they've included, for the most part, are stuff that wouldn't be available anywhere else. So with this one, I've done a standard British quick reaction alert loadout. It's got 4 AMRAAMs under the fuselage, 1 centerline tank, and then 4 ASRAAMs on the wings. All of this comes in a kit. Along with it, has to be said, 4 Meteors, 4 Iris Ts, a couple of Storm Shadow cruise missiles, which aren't that great to be honest, a couple of Taurus cruise missiles, 2 more fuel tanks, and also 6 Brimstone missiles, anti-armour missiles, which the Typhoon isn't even cleared to carry at this point. So yeah, it's got a lot of weapons in the kit, and you're left with a lot of spares afterwards, which is nice. Decals I've used for this one were from a Model Alliance sheet for 11 Squadron in 2008, one of the very first FGR4, Typhoon FGR4 models, with the Pirate passive infrared sensor on the nose there. So that was that's one I've been building. It's it's about 95–96% complete at this point. There's a couple of things I've got to do, like the landing lights, and sort out the open canopy. So there's that's the Typhoon, it's nearly done. And whilst I was on the Typhoon, I got kind of carried away, and I had this Rafale here, a Hobby Boss Rafale, which was in what I call my Hall of Shame. It's been built for about 2 years, but I put it away when I lost interest, and building the Typhoon kind of piqued my interest in getting the Rafale out and finishing that, which is has benefited from being packed away for a couple of years. Quite often I find that if something doesn't look that great to me, if I put it away for a while, when I get back to it, if I pull it out somewhere down the line, it doesn't look nearly as bad as I thought it was going to look, and such was the case with the little Rafale. So the Rafale has been taken out and finished alongside the Typhoon. Again, it's got a fairly basic interior, but in 72nd I'm pretty happy with it. This is another kit that comes with a pretty good selection of stores, it has to be said. So the kit came with 4 Matra Mica air-to-air missiles, 2 of the infrared and 2 of the radar. It came with 2 of these supersonic tanks, and also 2 of the big subsonic tanks with the bulge nose that the French use. And it also has 2 of these Storm Shadow stroke Apache cruise missiles. I've used one on the centerline here, which you can see the Rafale carrying. So again, a pretty good selection of stores in the kit. Overall, I have to say that this Hobby Boss Rafale is a very, very nice model. I've actually since getting this one to this stage, I'm just going to try and put the canopy back in place there. There we go. Since getting this one, I've also picked up the twin-seater, and I've also got the Rafale M en route as well. So again, there's another model I've been working on. So as you can see, whilst I haven't been doing the video updates, I have been modelling. So I haven't stopped modelling, and just to show that it hasn't stopped, the Kfir, which was also on hiatus, I've also pulled back out and have carried on with. So I've sort of added a few details to it. The undercarriage is now on, stuff like that. So things like the pylons are on. So I'm working on that slowly as well, bringing that to completion. So hopefully that one will be completed fairly soon as well. So yeah, like I say, whilst I haven't been doing the video updates, I have been quite busy in terms of, you know, the modelling I've been doing. So that's the way it goes, I'm afraid, sometimes. So hopefully I'll be back on course with regular updates from here on in. So what have I had new? Well, building the Eurofighter Typhoon piqued my interest in its predecessor, the EAP, Experimental Aircraft Programme, which was an experimental aircraft built by British Aerospace in the mid-80s, and was the sort of the direct forerunner of the Typhoon. So sort of in the late 80s, a limited run injection molded kit by a company called Pegasus was released. Not a very good model. It was all the problems associated with limited run kits of that time period. Very crudely moulded, very poor assembly. I seem to remember having one and having a go at it, but it was too rough to really get anywhere with. And a few years ago, Freight Dog Models, under the Silver Cloud label, released an all-resin one, and I kind of, with my interest piqued, I decided to order it and see how it looked. So the kit duly turned up. The EAP was roughly the same size as the Eurofighter. It's the same sort of not as closely coupled foreplanes as the Rafale, so it's got the foreplanes are actually on the nose of the aircraft, like with the Eurofighter. It's got a different wing shape, whereas a Eurofighter is a straight delta from above. As you can see, the EAP was a double delta shape, and it also had quite large portions of the aircraft were straight off of a Tornado. The vertical fin, you can see there, was a modified Tornado vertical fin, and indeed the most of the rear fuselage was sort of modified directly from a Tornado, and it also had RB199 engines, the same as a Tornado. Nevertheless, as a kind of technology demonstrator, it wasn't a prototype for the Eurofighter in any way, shape or form, because it wasn't actually a combat aircraft per se. It was an experimental, it was a demonstrator. Nevertheless, it had a very, very good performance, considering the limitations of the way it was made. You know, it was on a bit of a limited budget, because some of the people who originally intended to help with it, the Germans, they pulled out for budgetary reasons. Basically, at the end of the day, British Aerospace went it alone, with some help from the Italians, who built one of the wings and had a little bit of financial input into the aircraft, but largely it was a British Aerospace project. So this is, as I say, this is an all resin kit. I don't generally like resin that much as a medium. I don't enjoy working with it, but as the only option for building the EAP at the moment, I decided to bite the bullet and get it. So hopefully I'll be building this in the near future to go alongside the Eurofighter. Having said I don't like resin, this is pretty much, you know, some of the best resin you're going to get. It's really, really nicely moulded, and I don't anticipate any problems. I've seen it built, and I know that it builds up really, really nicely. So you've got a few bags of resin parts there, an etched brass sheet, which is mainly for things like missile fins and torque links for the undercarriage and stuff like that. And also, where I find it, yeah, even the clear parts which are there, even the clear parts are cast in resin, so that's nice, they're not vac formed, and white metal is used for the main undercarriage parts. And it also comes with a basic, but you know, basic decal sheet, but it's got everything you need. It's got the trim lines and stuff like that. So it's got the Paris Air Show numbers. And something I was particularly pleased with was that if you have a look up here, it's a couple of tiny little Fly Navy stickers. Now, for the first flight in 1986, it carried Fly Navy stickers behind the canopy. As a kind of naval person from a naval family, that'll certainly be going on the finished model for me. But yeah, that's the Silver Cloud resin European experimental aircraft program model. Really quite impressed with it. Looking forward to having a go at that. I would say it was something like 39. It's £39. That is, which is it expensive? Well, in actual fact, the Hasegawa Typhoon model in the UK is £39.99, so it's basically exactly the same price as the Hasegawa Typhoon model. Now, I wouldn't buy the Typhoon model in the UK. I'd buy it direct from Europe. Direct from Asia. I don't know where my head is at today. I'm making lots of mistakes like that, aren't I? So I'd buy it direct from Asia. Where, I mean, the last pair I ordered a pair from Hobby Easy a couple of weeks ago, and I paid £41, including postage, for 2 of them. So look around to Asia for ordering things like Hasegawa kits, and you'll get them a lot cheaper. So that's the best advice I can give. Don't feel limited to buying kits if you're in the UK from a UK supplier. You don't have to look around, find somewhere else to buy them. You'll get them a lot cheaper. It's a global market, as I keep saying to you. It is a global market. So if you've got a credit card, you've got a PayPal account, anything like that, look around and get the best deal you can. That's life these days. I'm not going to apologise for trying to get the best deal I can and bypassing UK importers when I think I'm paying over the odds. It's a case of you pay over the odds, or do without, or find another supplier. I look for another supplier. If I can't find one, I'll do without until I can get it cheap enough. So that's the way I work. So that's the EAP model. So what else has been new? Well, as I say, this is the kinetic Kfir, which is pretty nice, I have to say. It's a nice model. A few little things I weren't that impressed with, but it's okay. But the one I've been waiting for, was we've gone from no good Kfirs to 2 in a space of a couple of months. So that's the Avant-Garde model kits, Kfir C2, which is also a brand new kit. Now, I've been waiting for this. It was announced before the kinetic kit, but there was a delay of a month or 2 between the kinetic kit and this kit coming out. Excuse me while I... It's the hottest day in the UK so far this year, apparently. Now, I'm not going to pretend it's particularly searing like it would be for my friends in Arizona or somewhere like that. But for somebody like me who doesn't do hot weather, I really don't. I'm a winter baby. I like the cold weather. It's you know, so I'm sitting here doing very little, you know, perspiring, doing very little. So apologies for that, but it means I'm drinking a lot and trying to keep in the shade and away from the heat. Horses for courses. I know a lot of people are delighted with the hot weather. I don't really, it doesn't work for me, but that's just me. So anyway, that's the excuse for why I look this way today. But the Avant-Garde model kits, Kfir. First thing, which is better than the kinetic kit, is the instruction booklet. It's a glossy, let's move over here, it's a glossy, very nicely produced, very flashy instruction booklet, which is really nice. Areas that this kit is better than the kinetic kit. First off, the plastic is much nicer. It's slightly darker grey than the kinetic kit, but it feels harder. It's a bit more. It's holding the detail more sharply than the kinetic's quite soft, pale plastic does. In fact, most of the detail on this kit is really impressively sharp, I have to say. So, yeah, the plastic's much nicer. For the most part, I prefer some of the choices they've made. For a start, the air brakes are moulded in place on this. They were separate on the kinetic kit. It's looking around at photographs, you can find quite a few photographs of Kfirs on the ground with the air brakes extended to one degree or another. However, it's something that I don't enjoy doing. I always like to pack them away, so when kits come out with separate air brakes, I always kind of sigh to myself and think, oh no, there's another job I've got to do. So yeah, I'm very much more impressed with the fact that this Avant-Garde kit has the air brakes packed away. I also prefer the breakdown of the underwing here, where the entire kinetic kit is broken sort of around here, and all this is a separate. All this part forward is a separate part that goes into the wing, and leaves you with a join line to deal with, sort of across here, which I'm really not that impressed with. It means that I've lost some detail. On the Avant-Garde kit, it's all around panel lines, and not just panel lines, but actual sort of removable panels. So as long as the fit is reasonable, it's going to look fine with very little work. and you have to actually do that work on the kinetic kit to deal with those seams. The other thing I like, which I know is something that some people will and some people won't, the control surfaces on the wings are moulded in a neutral position with the lower wing. I wish it was with the upper wing, but it's with the lower wing. But nevertheless, it means that if you want your model to be in a neutral position, there's far less work. For my money, it's easier to cut these out and slightly reposition them and get a good result than it is to try and get a good result putting separate parts in a neutral position. So for me, the choice is easier on this model. It's just it's a personal preference. I don't want to seem like I'm criticising the kinetic kit for that choice, because I'm really not. It's a perfectly viable choice. It's just a personal preference thing. One area I will say I do prefer the kinetic kit is the how they've dealt with the windscreen. On the kinetic kit there's a large section of the fuselage which was moulded in with the windscreen, which means that dealing with the join is well away from the actual clear areas of the windscreen. The Avant-Garde kit, the windscreen is the clear part is very, very narrow where it joins to the fuselage, which hopefully won't be too much of an issue, but we'll see. The kinetic kit has full intake trunking, whereas the Avant-Garde kit has a blank face, you can see here. Now, to be honest, if you look down the kind of intakes on the kinetic kit, you can't see the compressor face anyway, so whilst I'll give the nod to Kinetic for having full intake trunks, for me it's a complete non-issue, because you can't see the compressor face. If I just paint those black, it's going to look absolutely fine. I prefer the fact that on the Avant-Garde kit, the intake join line is further back, so you've got the entire canard fairing actually moulded onto the intake, whereas on the kinetic kit it's partly moulded onto the fuselage, partly moulded onto the intake. I much prefer the Avant-Garde kit's approach. The canards on the kinetic kit are quite, the detail on them is really quite clumsy and heavy, whereas it's very fine on the Avant-Garde kit. So again, my vote here goes to the Avant-Garde kit. One thing that has been pointed out is that the kinetic kit has a bit more of a area rule effect on the upper fuselage around here, which is missing on the Avant-Garde kit. I don't think it's going to show up that much. Again, I'll give the nod to Kinetic for that, being fundamentally more accurate, but it's a minor issue for me. Not that bothered. And the Avant-Garde kit also has a full sort of exhaust interior, which the Kinetic kit doesn't have. The Kinetic kit has more drop tanks. It has the thin supersonic drop tanks, but the original tooling, they're about 14mm too short, so they're not any use anyway. I believe that Kinetic are correcting that. But on the Avant-Garde kit, you've got a centerline fuel tank and also two wing tanks. So there's the big wing tanks with two styles of tail as well, with end caps and without. The Avant-Garde kit has got both a Mark 6 ejector seat and a later Mark 10, because it's the C2/C7 in the same box, so it needs both styles. Stores wise, both kits have Python 3 missiles, a pair of Python 3s. Both kits have GBU-12 missiles, guided bombs. In addition to which, the the Avant-Garde kit has got the IAI Griffin laser guided bomb to choose from if you want, which is very similar in size and performance to the GBU-12, but is manufactured all in Israel. And also a selection of triple ejector racks and Mark 82 500-pound dumb bombs. So there's that. Another nod which has to go to the kinetic kit is in the actual the clear parts themselves. The kinetic have caught the shape much better than Avant-Garde, but with the canopy open, again, I don't think it's going to be that much of a. It's not going to be that much of a big deal, to be fair. I'm not looking at replacing it. I'll see what it looks like with the canopy open. With the canopy closed, the profile of the Avant-Garde kit will look a little bit off, but I think that will all be much more difficult to spot with the canopy closed. So again, it's a one of those things that, yes, I will happily concede that the Avant-Garde kit is wrong, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference to me, to my modelling, the way I model. It's not going to make that much of a difference. So onto the decal sheet. You've got a couple of options here. You've got a Kfir, you've got a C2 in the sort of F15 two-tone grey scheme, and that is from the 1st Fighter Squadron in 1979, and as I believe is the only Kfir ever to score an air-to-air kill. It shot down a Syrian MiG-21 in 1979, so that's the only Kfir ever to get an air-to-air kill. The other option is for an aircraft in the F-16 style three-tone camouflage from the Guardians of Areva Squadron, and that was in 1990. This is the one that's got this is a C7 with a paved penny, laser spot tracker. You know, because it's a C7, it's got the cheek pylons which take laser guided bombs, all that kind of stuff, all the upgrades that went into the C7. So yeah, that's the other scheme. Decals look very nice, well printed. I don't think they're cartograph, but nevertheless they look fine. So we'll see how they perform. So yeah, there's the Avant-Garde models Kfir, which has been released in direct competition with the recently released kinetic one. So there's the Avant-Garde one, and there's a kinetic one which I'm building at the moment. Overall, I have to say I prefer the Avant-Garde kit. I prefer the plastic that's been used. I prefer the sharpness of the detail, and overall it looks like it's just going to be a bit of a nicer build than the kinetic kit. There's nothing wrong with the kinetic kit, I should say. It's one of those ones that really will come down to personal preference, and I wouldn't criticise anybody for saying they preferred the kinetic kit when I prefer the Avant-Garde kit. It's that much of a personal decision. So my choice is for the Avant-Garde kit, but pays your money. In fact, you say you pays your money, they're exactly the same price at places like Lucky Models. If you go to the Lucky Model, they're the same price, so it really is personal choice at the end of the day, because one isn't going to cost you any more than the other. So that's that. And the last one I've got to share with you today is one that people have been waiting for quite some while, and that's the exact 35th scale T80U. This was really sort of equivalent of £40. It's quite an expensive model, I have to say. In even getting it from Asia, it was the best part of. It cost me about £47, including postage, to get from Hobby Easy in Hong Kong. But anyway, that comment on cost aside, let's have a look at the model. First thing I have to say, quality of the plastic. It appears to be moulded in exactly the same plastic as the Avant-Garde Kfir, so it's nice dark grey plastic. It's nicely broken down. This is going to be a very whistle-stop look around this kit, because I haven't taken it out of the bags or anything yet. It turned up the other day, and I've been doing other stuff, so I haven't really had a great amount of time to look at it. But at the moment, I've got nothing really. It looks great. The build-ups look great on it. You've got multiple etched sheets here, including all the grills and stuff, and some of the mudguards around the front. One nice point is there's a grill that goes on the turret, on part of the fording gear, I think it is, and this has obviously been shaped over something before it's packaged and sent out, because it's got a beautifully convex shape to it, so it's obviously been formed over something as part of the production process. So that's etched, that's pre-formed for you into shape, which is nice. A very simple decal sheet. All it's got is some is just a collection of numbers essentially, and that's it. One of the things I'm not impressed with, I'm afraid to say, is that having paid so much for the model, it comes with rubber band tracks. Really not impressed with that exact. That needs to be addressed, because, you know, in this day and age, I'm just not happy with you know, paying that kind of money for rubber band tracks, especially on these rubber band tracks where every 10th or 12th link there's some distortion on the end pins. I've ordered a set of master model resin clip together replacement tracks, but I'm a bit sort of a bit put out really that I should be forced to do that on a kit of this expense, but nevertheless I've done that. So it's kind of a qualified nice job, but for the price, when you look at the new Meng T90, which is quite a bit cheaper than this model, with its you know, individual link tracks and all that kind of stuff, absolutely awesome. And to see something as kind of retrograde as that in this kit, and it's not just that they're rubber band tracks either, it's that I'm not that impressed with the quality of them. Compared to, like, I mean, Tamiya still do rubber band tracks for the most part, but the quality these days is pretty acceptable for the most part. So yeah, it's a kind of a qualified yes, like it, but a bit disappointed in some aspects of it. Again, instructions, it's the instructions are black and white, but it's all there. It looks like it goes together pretty nice. It's fairly clear, concise instructions. So I'm actually looking forward to building this. There's four different colour schemes for it. There's an overall green. There's two with varying tan colours, and there's one which is those two are black, tan and green, and there's one that's just green and tan. So four different colour scheme options. I can't really say too much about this at the moment, so I haven't looked at it too closely, but just to show you that I do have one here, and hopefully at some point in the near future we'll be building it, probably straight after the 2S3 is done. But that's where we are at the moment. So that's the exciting new stuff that's been in. So what I'm going to do is, I appreciate this is probably going to run on somewhat, so I'm going to call it a day here, and say that hopefully I'll do another video next week, because I'll hopefully get my mojo back for doing the videos. So that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed what I've had to show you this week, and I'll catch up with you next week. So take care and happy modelling. Take care now. Bye bye.